going to talk about some stuff like play video games, so here's that. Fun fact. Dating somebody with anxiety or abandonment issues and or isn't going to be easy for anybody, like on either side. It's like, you know, like dating as a whole isn't easy, and I know I'm definitely not the most qualified person to give this speech, because I know I'm still young and I've only had a few relationships. But I just, as someone with anxiety and abandonment issues, I just kind of want to speak my mind on it, I guess. So, of course, there's nothing wrong with dating with anxiety or abandonment issues, or dating someone with that, of course, you know, there's nothing wrong with that at all. But if you do decide to, like, date somebody who has anxiety / abandonment issues, you're going to have to be ready for that, because it can be hard. Like, it's, at least for me, I can't speak for everybody, but it's usually a lot of, with it, I'm sorry, I'm bad at phrasing things, and this is a video I have not planned out a script for or anything. I just kind of, it's like, oh, I need to record this. But the mind, sorry, my sister, one sec. Okay, my sister is gone, so we should be good. But, like, the mind of somebody who's in a relationship and, you know, who deals with those issues is very complicated, because like, once again, this is me just speaking from my experience. It's usually a mixture of, I'm so happy to have this, and maybe I am lovable, but then there's also the combination of, this isn't real, they're faking it, they don't truly love you, they pity you, or they're lying to you, or, you know, like, they're not gonna be an exception, they're gonna leave like everyone else. And it's really common with, like, people with anxiety, and for me, it's my abandonment issues that mainly contribute to that, because but for me personally, it's more, how do I explain this, like, that'll make more sense. Sorry, I'm very bad with words, and I just felt like it was important for me to, like, say this. But this is definitely going to be a long video, and probably kind of rambly, because I am not, like, good at speaking. But, like, for me personally, I have anxiety and abandonment issues, and yes, I'm diagnosed with anxiety. But, like, I've dealt with that for the majority of my life. But, like, my abandonment issues stem from, you know, like, I'm not going to get too into detail with it, but, you know, like, a few years ago, you know, like, a long time ago, really, because I'm 13 now, well, 14 almost, but, like, you know, my mom never really was there for me, and kind of just left me when I was, you know, really young, and I, you know, hadn't really had a relationship with her, like, ever, but, just that point was to say this is, like, why I have abandonment issues. And sorry if you can hear the clicking of my controller, I just kind of, yeah. Sorry. But with having abandonment issues, there's usually a constant either distrust or fear. And I know it can manifest itself in different ways for different people. Like, I know for some people it manifests itself in like oh, they're all lying to me, like they're bad people, they want to hurt me type of sense, as in assuming that everybody else is like bad and they're all trying to hurt you, and that's like valid. I understand that completely. But another way it can manifest itself, in which it does for me, is the sense of they're all lying to me, but not in like a, oh, they're bad people kind of way. For me, it's always been because, as I said, like, you know, there's more detail I could go into about it, just like I had a relatively toxic and abusive home life growing up, where I was kind of conditioned that, you know, if something bad was happening, it was my fault. And so it's kind of conditioned me in such a way where it's like, oh, they're all lying to me because they're, you know, they're nice, but I'm really annoying, and they actually hate my guts, but they're too nice to admit it. And so that's what entails, like, dating somebody who has those issues. And, you know, this is also, like, common with, like, anxiety and stuff, because, you know, that's kind of what anxiety is, like, overthinking and worrying and going to unrealistic extremes, kind of. But, like, if you're going to date somebody who, you know, like, has anxiety or abandonment issues, anything of the like, you have to be very aware of that, because there's going to be so many moments where just, and I'm not necessarily saying you have to, like, I'm just gonna go into this explaining myself before I say what I'm gonna say, so it makes more sense. But, like, I'm not saying you have to, like, change the way you text or anything, or, like, whatever. It's just more, this is insight as to what might be happening, I guess. So sometimes, like, a simple text response that, you know, you could be busy and you're just wanting to respond to your significant other because you do still care about them and you're not mad at them or anything of the sort, and so you respond, like, they could be like, hey, look at this thing I drew, and you're like, ah, cool, or okay. Then it can, especially just with someone who overthinks things, it can be translated as, oh, I've upset them, oh, they don't like me anymore, oh, they hate me, I'm so annoying, why do I even try, like, I'm stupid, but that, you know, just like that kind of spiral, with that, like, that can happen if you, like, and I'm not saying that you have to always be super, like, aware, or not aware, but, like, you always have to be super, like, cautious with the way you word things, because that's just a normal way to word things. I just wanted to explain more, because this can also lead to your partner or friend or whatever apologizing a lot, like, needlessly, you know, and that could be a sign that they're struggling with the idea that you might be upset at them. Like, if your friend or whatever, someone just says, like, a lot, they're like, oh yeah, sorry for bothering you, haha, or, oh, sorry about that, oh, sorry, I'm probably being annoying, or something like that. It's possible that they could be, like, overthinking things, and honestly, like, the best response to that, I think, is just not, you don't have to be like, oh no, everything is perfectly fine, I still love you or something, but you can be like, no, look, also just don't phrase it as, oh, don't apologize or stop apologizing, because that's very commanding and kind of scary sometimes, but you can phrase it as, like, oh, don't worry, you don't have anything to apologize for, you know, because then it's more calming and reassuring and, like, hey, look, it's okay. And I mean, if you want to, you can be like, look, it's okay, I'm not upset at you, or you're not annoying me, I'm sorry that you thought that way, or, like, just, a lot of it's just, if you decide to date somebody with anxiety or abandonment issues, you know, that you're gonna have to realize that that's going to entail, you are going to have to be willing to reassure them whenever they get scared and worried over things that are clearly, like, you know, like, you can clearly see that, oh, these aren't really an issue, like, why would they think that way? It just doesn't make sense, because that's what anxiety is. It doesn't make sense. So just, if you're not ready to enter that relationship knowing, I know I'm going to have to reassure you, and I know I'm going to have to, be here for you over things that are small sometimes. As I said, just a certain response to a text can prompt a lot of doubt and fear and anxiousness and stuff. And if you're going into that knowing that they have those issues, you need to be ready to reassure them. And it might be a lot, and it might get annoying, but if you really love them, I feel, this is just my opinion, by the way, I'm not trying to be like aha, I'm holier than thou, this is how you shall live your life or anything. That's not my intention at all. I really don't like those types of people anyways. But just, in my opinion, if you really love this person and you really care for them, you're going to make sure that you're going to be aware that you're going to have to take that extra step, that extra effort to assure them and be there for them. And it's going to be annoying sometimes, or a lot. But, you're going to be willing to do that because, you love them. And that's what matters, is that eventually, you won't have to assure them anymore. Because I feel eventually you can get to a point where there's, maybe not all of the fear or worry is gone, but I know a lot of that fear and worry and doubt can go away through enough, at least for me. But yeah, I wanted to just say that because I've been thinking about it a lot recently, because a lot of people don't really understand what it's like to have anxiety, I guess. It's understood, but at the same time it's really not, because a lot of people think anxiety is just always which also, anxiety gets confused with narcissism a lot, because it can be social anxiety, for example. It's oh, everybody's looking at me or whatever, and a lot of people for some reason interpret that as you think you're special or something, which it's really not. It's usually more about a judgment thing and a fear. So I wanted to try and give better insight into what the mind of an anxious person is like, because I live with it daily, and it's a very difficult, it's not fun to deal with. And a lot of people tend to either romanticize it or villainize anxiety, which neither approach is good. I think we should take it at face value and see it for what it is, and or not face value, I'm bad with words, but we should take it at what it is, where it's a bad thing, but it's normal. It's not something we should romanticize and be oh, this is so cool to have, or oh, you poor broken person, let me fix you, or whatever. Which, that's another point about that, dating somebody with, hell, any mental illness or, trauma or something. Don't expect that you getting into a relationship with them is going to fix all of that, trauma and issues and illness or whatever. Because it won't. It can help in some cases, but sometimes it won't. And as much as you can be there to help them and even maybe be a savior for them, it's unhealthy to assume that you're going to automatically fix all of their problems, because unfortunately you can't. As much as you may want to, you can't. But yeah, anxiety's not stupid or dumb, but it's complicated and scary. And if you really want to get involved with somebody who has anxiety or something like that, please be aware of what it's like and be willing to help them when they need it. Thank you for listening.